Hey everyone, and welcome to your personalized deep dive. So today we're going to be focusing on Olivia Munn and how she's dealing with, life after being diagnosed with breast cancer. It's really inspiring to see how she's handling it all. Motherhood, her career, her own well-being, and she seems to be figuring out this whole new normal thing, which I know is something you're really interested in.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating is how open she is about the fact that she's still figuring things out. She talks about how she's still working to find the right medication and really emphasizes the science behind it all.
Yeah, that really stood out to me too, especially since I know you were hoping to learn more about the science behind breast cancer treatment.
Well, there are just so many different approaches these days. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Of course,
Yeah.
you have surgery, but then there's also radiation and chemotherapy, hormone therapy, and even these targeted therapies that zero in on specific genes or proteins that fuel cancer growth. So finding the right combination is absolutely key, and it seems like that's exactly what Olivia's in the process of doing.
For sure. It's definitely not a straightforward process at all. She
Yeah.
talks about having these good days and bad days, which I know is something you highlighted in your notes. It seems like she's really trying to build this new normal amidst all these ups and downs, which is honestly something I think we can all learn from.
Yeah.
I've definitely had periods in my own life where things felt really unpredictable, and it takes a lot of strength to just keep going.
Absolutely. Healing isn't always, the straight line. It's a journey with its own rhythm. But what's inspiring is how Olivia's focusing on creating this really positive space for herself. She mentions being kinder to herself and cherishing time with her family.
Okay, so let's dive into this whole idea of a new normal. What does that even look like for someone like Olivia, who's so used to this fast-paced career and, all the demands of Hollywood?
It's all about adapting and finding this new balance. And for someone in the public eye like Olivia, it might mean reevaluating her priorities and letting go of certain expectations. She even jokes about how her to-do list is shorter now, and her house is a total mess, and she blames it on either the cancer treatment or just the realities of, having two young kids. Can you relate to that at all?
Oh, absolutely. Who hasn't felt that juggle of family life and everything else going on? But there's also something deeper here. She actually attended the Time Women of the Year gala where she was an honoree.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of strength to show up like that, especially while going through treatment.
Yeah, and it's even more powerful because she was there with her husband, John Mulaney. Having that support system can really make all the difference.
It definitely shows how much he cares for her and how important their relationship is during all of this. It's a beautiful thing to witness. Her attending that gala, despite everything she's going through, it just speaks volumes about her resilience. She's not letting this define her.
Exactly. And this is something we can all learn from. I know you mentioned in your notes how much Olivia's story resonated with you. It seems like she's really actively adapting to her circumstances, finding ways to incorporate her treatment into her daily life and still engage with the world. It's really remarkable. It's interesting to think about all the pressure society puts on us, especially women, to have it all together, like juggling careers, family, and personal well-being is already hard enough without adding a serious health challenge into the mix.
Oh, totally. There's this constant expectation to be productive and successful and never show any weakness. But what Olivia's doing is so powerful because she's willing to be open about those ups and downs, about the messy house and the shorter to-do list. It really challenges those expectations.
It's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to prioritize your health and well-being, even if it means letting go of some of those expectations.
Yeah.
And that resonated with you too, right? You mentioned in your notes how refreshing it was to see a celebrity being so open about these struggles.
For sure. It definitely makes her feel more relatable, more human. And this whole new normal thing we keep talking about, it's not just about external changes, is it? It's also about an internal shift.
Exactly. It's about adjusting our mindset and our expectations, maybe even our values. Olivia's journey is this powerful reminder that life throws us curveballs, and sometimes we have to reevaluate what truly matters.
It's like that saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But sometimes making lemonade means doing things differently, setting new priorities, and finding joy in unexpected places.
And that's where creativity comes in. I know you mentioned in your notes how curious you were about how people find strength and purpose during these tough times. And I think Olivia's story really highlights how creativity can be a lifeline.
I can totally see that. I mean, she's an actress, so she's creative by nature. But even for those of us who don't consider ourselves creative types, finding outlets for self-expression can be incredibly therapeutic.
Absolutely. Whether it's writing, painting, gardening, or even just spending time in nature engaging in those creative pursuits can help us process emotions, reduce stress, and tap into that sense of joy and purpose.
It's like we're giving ourselves permission to play, to explore and reconnect with that inner child who sees the world with so much wonder and possibility.
And creativity often goes hand in hand with storytelling. And Olivia is sharing her story, and by doing that, she's connecting with others who might be going through similar things.
That's so powerful. When we share our stories, we break down stigma, we build empathy, and we remind each other that we're not alone.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned wanting to go deeper into the emotional aspects of Olivia's journey. I think her honesty about having good days and bad days is a powerful example of that.
It's a reminder that healing isn't linear. There will be ups and downs, and that's okay. It's important to acknowledge those fluctuations and be kind to ourselves throughout the entire process.
And it's also okay to ask for help, to lean on our support systems. Olivia has her husband, her family, her friends, but there are also support groups, therapists, online communities for people who might not have those close connections.
Absolutely. We don't have to go through this alone. Reaching out for support can make a huge difference. It can provide a sense of belonging, of understanding, of shared experience.
And sometimes just knowing that someone else gets it, that someone else has been there, can be incredibly validating and comforting.
As we've been discussing Olivia's journey and her focus on self-care, I've been thinking about the importance of setting boundaries.
Boundaries?
Yeah.
How do those relate to self-care, especially in a situation like Olivia's?
Well, boundaries are basically limits we set to protect our time, energy, and emotional well-being. And when we're facing a health challenge, those boundaries become even more crucial.
So it's about saying no to things that drain us, that overwhelm us, or that don't align with our priorities.
Exactly. It's about creating space for ourselves to heal, to rest, and to focus on what truly matters. And it's not selfish to do that. It's essential for our well-being.
And setting boundaries can be a powerful act of self-respect. It's about honoring our needs and communicating those needs to others.
And sometimes setting those boundaries means disappointing people or saying no to things we might have said yes to before.
But it's important to remember that we can't pour from an empty cup. We have to take care of ourselves first so we can show up for others in a more genuine and sustainable way.
And setting boundaries is often easier said than done. It can feel really uncomfortable, especially if we're used to people-pleasing or putting everyone else's needs before our own.
Totally. It takes practice and courage and a deep sense of self-worth. But the rewards are huge. When we set boundaries, we create space for ourselves to thrive.
And we model healthy behavior for others, especially for children. When they see us prioritizing our well-being, they learn that it's okay to do the same for themselves.
As we've been talking about setting boundaries and honoring our needs, I've been thinking about the importance of self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance. How does that fit into all of this?
Well, I think self-acceptance is about embracing all parts of ourselves, the good, the bad, and the messy. And when we truly accept ourselves, it becomes easier to set those boundaries.
That makes sense. When we're secure in our own worth, we're less likely to seek validation from others or be afraid of rejection.
And self-acceptance isn't about being perfect or pretending we don't have flaws. It's about recognizing that our imperfections are part of what makes us unique and beautiful.
It's about letting go of that need to be perfect and embracing our wholeness, our humanness.
And I think Olivia Munn embodies that so well. She's not afraid to be vulnerable, to share her struggles, to show us that it's okay to not have it all figured out.
It's a reminder that we're all perfectly imperfect and that our imperfections are what make us relatable, what make us human, and what ultimately make us lovable. It's really about trusting ourselves, knowing that we already have all the wisdom and guidance we need inside of us.
And sometimes that means going against the grain,
Hmm.
doing things differently than what's expected or what society says we should do.
Exactly. It's about choosing what feels right for us, even if it's unconventional or totally new.
And I think Olivia's story is a perfect example of that. She's made some pretty unconventional choices in her career. She speaks out about things that are important to her, and she's created a life that feels so authentic and true to herself.
It reminds us that we don't have to follow some preset path. We can create our own, one that aligns with our values, our passions, and our intuition.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Right? It's about being open to exploring, to experimenting, to trusting that inner voice that's leading us towards what's best for us.
Speaking of intuition and trusting that inner voice, I've been thinking about mindfulness a lot. And I know you were curious about finding some practical ways to make that part of your everyday life.
Yeah.
Well, mindfulness is all about being present in the moment. It's about paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, without judging them, you know? It really helps us pick up on those subtle cues from our intuition, those little whispers in our hearts that guide us towards what's right.
Yeah, it's like we're making space for our intuition to actually speak to us by quieting all the mental noise and tuning into the wisdom of our bodies.
And that's not easy these days, right? We're constantly bombarded with distractions, information demands on our time and attention.
It's like we're living in this state of constant overwhelm, which makes it hard to hear that inner voice.
Yeah.
I struggle with that sometimes.
But even just a few minutes of mindfulness every day can make a huge difference. It helps us de-stress, improve focus, and connect more deeply with ourselves and with the present moment.
Absolutely, whether it's meditation, yoga, or even just taking a few deep breaths throughout the day, making mindfulness part of our routine can really create space for our intuition to come through.
And Olivia's story is a beautiful example of that, you know? She talks about how important self-care is, slowing down, being present with her family.
It's a good reminder that even with a busy life, a demanding career, and a health challenge, we can still find those moments of peace, of being present, of connecting with ourselves and what truly matters.
It's about making those moments a priority, a non-negotiable part of our day, even if it's just for a few minutes.
So we've covered a lot today. Self-compassion, prioritizing what matters, resilience, humor, forgiveness, gratitude, joy, community, support, self-care, boundaries, self-acceptance, vulnerability, authenticity, self-discovery, intuition, mindfulness. Wow, it's a lot. But there are all these incredible tools and resources that can help us navigate challenges, create a new normal, and live more fulfilling lives.
It reminds us that we have so much power inside to create the life we want, to heal, to grow, to thrive.
And it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns, but as long as we keep moving forward with intention, with compassion, and an open heart, we'll keep evolving, learning, and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into Olivia Munn's journey and all the wisdom it holds, I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, I love it. What's the question?
How can each of us embrace our own unique journeys with courage, with compassion, and with a commitment to living authentically and wholeheartedly?
That's such a powerful question. And I hope it's something you keep thinking about long after this deep dive is over.
Because it's in those moments of reflection, those moments of quiet contemplation, that we often discover our deepest truths, our greatest strengths, and our most profound sense of purpose.
It's when we realize that even in the midst of challenges, even when things are uncertain, there's always hope, there's always beauty, and there's always a chance to create a life that's full of meaning, love, and joy.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's been an honor to explore these powerful themes with you.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights, some new perspectives, and maybe even a renewed sense of hope and inspiration.
And remember, you are not alone. We're all in this together. And together we can create a world where everyone feels supported, loved, and empowered to live their best lives.
Until next time, take care and keep shining your light.